But Israel doesn't care. They only care about themselves. They don't care about Jews. They'll
Right.
sacrifice all of us. They would be very happy if the anti-Semitism blows up all over the world, because then they'll say, you got to come to Israel. And then they'll say, okay, look, we want to be safe and we have to have a safe place. They want that. As a Jew, and any Jews interested in doing this, you must tell everybody, you must get this through your head and get it through the heads of anybody you have influence over, or anybody whose ear you have, that Israel has nothing to do with the Jews. Israel has to do with the Israelis. Then guess what? If Israel has to do with the Israelis, there's no more Zionism. It's that simple. Zionism, yeah, they talk about settler colonialism, and Jabotinsky, one of the early Zionists, talked about Zionism in those terms as well. But it's much more deep than that. It's more profound than that. Zionism at its core is the idea that Jews are a nationality and Israel is its state. That's Zionism. That, as Netanyahu said, Japan is to the Japanese what Israel is to the Jews. When that formula changes to what Japan is to Japanese, what Israel is to the Israelis, Zionism is over.
Yeah.
And the more we could do to change the answer to that equation, the more we contribute to peace in the Middle East. I don't think the solution lies. I don't think it's, look, they talk about the amount of energy that they use to talk about one state, two state, red state, blue state,
Mm-hmm.
like the amount of energy and time and money that goes into that should really be going into how to make Israel a normal country, meaning country without Zionism. Call it whatever you want. Call it Herzlstan. Call it the Holy Land. Yeah, call it the Holy
Right.
Lands. Call it
Yeah.
Netanyahuville. Call it whatever you want. I don't care. Call it Charlie. But let it be a state where Jews can live in peace with the Palestinians and the Arabs and the Christians, like Canada or like Australia or like America. The idea that Israel is an accomplishment for the Jews is the obstacle to this attitude. The attitude has to be that Israel becoming a normal country without Zionism is better for everybody in the world, especially the Jews. That's the direction we need to go in.
I have to tell you, I've been a pretty staunch supporter of the two-state solution. Ever since I went over there, I spent some time in the West Bank. I saw the occupation firsthand, and I just felt like, I just don't know if these two people can mix. Like, and the Palestinian people in my mind, I felt like they deserve their own nation. They deserve to have their own sovereignty and to have their own, they should be able to manifest their own destiny or whatever. But now I have to be honest with you. After this conversation, I'm sure you didn't mean to convince me, but I don't even know what your thoughts are, but I think I'm for a one-state solution now, actually, but for it to not be a Zionist nation. I agree that everybody living on that land deserves democracy. They deserve the right to for self-determination. They should be one nation, and that includes Arabs, that includes Muslims, the Christian Palestinians. Many of them have been driven out. There are Christians there, obviously, Jews, any secular people, atheist people, whoever wants to live there. It should be a non-Zionist nation, probably not called Israel. My guess is if they actually did create democracy and allowed people to vote, that the Palestinians and the Israelis together would have to come up with a new name for the nation, because I don't think Palestinians want to live in Israel. Maybe Holy Land would be a great name for the nation. It's just the Holy Land. I live in the Holy Land, and that's, a great, but an actual democratic state. No one's ever been able to convince me, and I've had these conversations for years, but this conversation has convinced me that it needs to be a one state that is not Jewish. That's racist, first of all, to say we're only for Jews, and then there's a bunch of non-Jews sitting there saying, well, then what about us? I met a bunch of Arab Israelis who are not Jewish. They're Muslims. They have Israeli passports, but their passports even have a different number in them. They're labeled as not really truly being Israeli. They have different they don't get the same rights as an Israeli with a full passport. You know, the Arab Israeli gets a second-class citizenship. It's appalling and it's racist and it should not happen. We don't allow any other nation to behave this way. We call it racist. And in this situation, if you say Israel's racist, you get called an anti-Semite. But really, it's like, well, you're just standing up for the rights of other people who are living there and they're being subjected to the laws of this nation. So yeah, you've convinced me of that. And that is what I think everybody should be advocating for is one area where all the people can live in peace. And this would be better, you're right, for all the Jews around the world, because the concept of Zionism, the concept of Israel being a home for the Jews is damaging the reputation of every Jew everywhere, because everybody is suspicious that you have a dual loyalty. I mean, they're looking at you and they're automatically suspicious of you. And that is not fair to you. That is not fair to all the many Jewish people who are loyal to the nation that they're in. Just like I'm half Vietnamese. Nobody asks me about Vietnamese politics. No one asks me. Like, they don't come up to me
Right.
and start asking me about Vietnamese politics. I'm an American. That's what that is.
And Kim, this is worse because I'm not even half Israeli. You see,
Right,
they don't.
right.
That's the thing. I'm Jewish. That's the thing. I'm not even half Israeli. If I'd be half Israeli, that would be comparable to your situation. I have no Israeli blood in me. I'm an
Right.
American. My family's from Poland. On my mother's side, they're from England and Russia. What do I have to do with some country in the Middle East? What kind of crazy thing is this? Not
Right.
only are the people in Israel subject to their laws, but when they make a nation state law, I'm subject to their laws. I'm an American. Their law affects, they say they're my nation state. They're the nation state of many thousands of Jews in various countries over whom their laws have no jurisdiction. There's no other country on the world like that. Well, be a normal country, that's all. And take
Yeah.
the energy and time that people use to talk about, again, one state, two state, red state, blue state. You want to
Mhm.
send military stuff over there? You're worried there's going to be like a civil war because there's so much bad blood between the Zionists and the Palestinians. I don't know. Fine. So take all the military power of the UN, of everybody. Put a tank on every street corner, whatever you want to do. Make sure there's peace. Put your energy into trying to figure out a way how to collapse this country, collapse Zionism and make it into a normal country, because Zionism is poison for everybody, including
Yeah.
the Jews.
Well, the IRS October 15th tax deadline is right around the corner. I know time flies. So if you're scrambling and thinking about those estimated payments and expensive write-offs and messy deductions, I've got a recommendation for you. The attorneys at Tax Network USA have been an absolute lifesaver for many. Their team has successfully saved clients over $1 billion in tax debts. So whether you're in the hole for $10,000 or you're staring at $10 million in debt, they're ready to help. And hey, no judgment here, even if you haven't filed in 1 year or 5 years or an entire decade. They're equipped to secure the best settlement for you. All you've got to do is go to taxnetworkusa.com/Kim to get started. Again, that is taxnetworkusa.com/Kim.